It is all good.
Well, I think I should have clicked that before. I didn't. Correction error. Oh my God.
We ain't perfect. We ain't perfect.
We sure aren't. I really miss E. Digga's producer skill set right now. He is out on assignment, but he will be back with us next week. So shout out to E. Digga. And then, he's got his Let's Talk with E. Digga show. Make sure you guys check him out. Like I said, he's one of the hardest working people.
Yes, he is.
I know in the podcasting industry. And so.
And a newlywed.
Yes.
Probably why he ain't here. But we ain't gonna.
Yeah, he gotta make it,
Yeah.
So anyway, we have a really excellent show that is going to take place today. The information the news that we're sharing with you will be sensitive, and some of the photos may be graphic. As you know and have seen floating around, a young girl by the name of Naveah, 11-year-old, in Kansas City, Kansas, a resident of Kansas City, Kansas, was in Shawnee, Kansas. There's a Shawnee Mission and a Shawnee. So it was Shawnee, Kansas, where she was playing and was the victim of a hate crime by a 12-year-old white boy. Pastor Terry Bradshaw will be joining us later on in the show to speak with us about that. As we are continuing to see things come across social media, we want to make sure that we get on these stories, not for the hype, but so that we can be supportive to young Naveah. As you have seen some of these pictures, it's just awful. And when Pastor Terry Bradshaw comes on, we will all be able to speak together. So you guys sit tight, and that interview will be coming up in a few. Kind of staying I guess within the same energy here, unfortunately. I wanted to know, did you all see the story about Breonna Taylor's ex-boyfriend being offered a plea deal to say that she was a co-conspirator?
You think I didn't when I did? That was on the Shade Room.
Nisa, did you see that?
No, I didn't. No.
Oh, wow.
How sick and twisted could you be? I mean,
so let's just kind of give Anissa the rundown. So apparently, an ex-boyfriend of Breonna Taylor may be in a little trouble. It was getting questioned, and maybe sell a little drugs allegedly in the city. And they offered him a plea deal if he would name her as one of the co-conspirators in his case. They offered him a plea deal.
This is the person that the police were looking for the night that Breonna Taylor was murdered. So this is the individual that they were actually looking for. That was who the no-knock search warrant was issued to. So it was issued for him. And
also, did you see that it came out that one of the officers actually had on a body cam as well?
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I don't know if I want to see that footage.
Yeah.
Oh, I
don't know if I want to see that footage. The footage that was released of the young man in D.C. who was killed in Southeast the other night.
Who suffered from mental illness.
And they said that he had a gun, and I think
he suffered from mental illness, right?
Yes, he suffered from mental illness. There was basically a lynching right in front of everybody.
I mean, he threw what I was told is he did have a gun, but he threw it. But the police killed him anyway. That is
wasn't he naked?
Stories that are circulating, but it is fact that the young man did have a gun. Now,
was he naked?
No, this was a different story. That was somewhere. Oh, wow. That was in New York. The guy who was naked and was suffocated, that was in New York. I mean, it's been a long week for us,
Yes, it has.
For us. But yeah, that was in New York. But the young boy in D.C., I don't know that the boy in D.C., I think we're mixing the stories up. I'm not sure. I haven't seen anything floating around about the boy in D.C. suffering from mental health issues. However, the guy in New York was.
Yeah, the guy in New York was suffering from mental health issues. His brother called asking for help, even asked the police to not kill him. And the camera shows this man practically being lynched in front of everyone.
That was New York. I thought that was DC.
Yeah.
DC was the 18-year-old boy, correct?
Exactly. That was the 18-year-old boy.
Yeah.
It's sad that we have to keep track of it like this. We got to put a spreadsheet together, huh? Like, I mean, it's ridiculous.
I mean, they're making T-shirts. They're making T-shirts. The fact that they can make full designs on T-shirts out of names that were brutally murdered by the hands of the police is absolutely sad. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I seen a pair of shoes with all the faces on some shoes at the march. And I'm like, wow, this is like, it's becoming a
all the faces.
Like, it's becoming fashion, not necessarily in the sense of people just want to be fashionable with people who were, you know, are martyrs, but we are able to make fashion out of our martyrs in the sense of trying to get a message out there.
Yeah, I think it's sad that we even have to say Black Lives Matter, or that properties, you know, restaurants or congregations have to make it loud that, hey, we accept Black people. Like, that's sad to me. And I'm going across the country next month, and one of our places, we're like deciding to stay in like Airbnbs. And I'm like, you know what, as reasonable as that is, I'm a little leery, because I'm like, I'm feeling like I have to ask, hey, do you guys accept Black people?
And you should.
I'm afraid, you know what I'm saying? That's like that's sad that that even has to be a question.
But I mean,
that's why I always say
somebody's Texas Chainsaw Massacre ass house, not to, you know, scare you, but you never know. You could get into a house with these people and it be set up just to lure you in,
right?
Something heinous. You know, this is real out here. Like, we can't move the same way other people do.
That's why I always say, be mindful of your grandparents. Think about your grandparents, if they're old enough, back in the day when it was white only, Black only. You know, Blacks had to go around to the back. So now think about how traumatic it may be to even though it Black Lives Matter, and that still may be a bit traumatic. That, like you said, somebody on the business, you almost have to put that. So think about how your grandmother may look at that, but then have a flashback of it maybe saying Black onlys or white onlys, you know, even though it says Black Lives Matter. One sign that I see that I like that's in yours, it goes, white silence is violence. All right.
You're irritating. But I think that if you have a business or you are putting Black Lives Matter up to let Black people know that you're welcome and that sort of stuff, there's a level of protection that has to come behind that. If I am in your establishment and some unruly guest is, you know, inciting some type of conflict between us because of being another race, and you don't do anything to protect me as a person, my being, and rectify the situation, Black lives does not matter. You cannot say Black Lives Matter if you're not coming with the protection behind that. Right. Because that is what we need. We need protection.
Yeah.
So if you're not willing to protect me, don't put a Black Lives Matter sign out for me.
That's
you understand what I'm saying? Like, don't do that. Don't tell me that. It's more to it. You can't just put this shit on a t-shirt when my life is on the line.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, your silence is violence, but if you're speaking and you don't have anything, nothing fruitful comes from that. What does it mean? What does it mean? Like, what does Black Lives Mattering really mean? Are you willing to protect me? That's it.
That just sat with me. Like, the fact that we even have to ask to be protected. Like, we're like some endangered species. We are. Like, you know what I mean? You hear that with the animals out in the kingdom, you know, out in the woods, out in the zoo. You know what I mean? Now we human beings asking to be protected. That is just wow.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I don't really like. This year has probably been the most conscious I've been to the event that's happening in the world, because I've been just kind of like out of sight, out of mind, zenned out, no TV, no nothing. And this year has probably been the most conscious I've been to what is happening in the world.
Yeah. You know what? I want to get a smart TV because, as I admit all the time, I have an antenna. Like, that's it. That's all I'm rocking with, some real live bunny ears, y'all. I'm serious. I'm so serious. The TV is so old. It's so little. It is like, you know what I mean? I've never really invested in a TV, but
$100. It's $100.
I said when I invested,
I love it.
$100. Walmart. $100.
Split my screen and have the news all over, because I honestly love the news. That is one part of media that I just love, and that's news. I really do. I really love it. But going back to what you said, I don't have any of that. Like I said, I have that bunny ear. And so it has helped me to just sit back, read, and just really think about what's going on. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot to being Black. And every day I honestly have to overcome fear. Like, when I tell my friends that I'm glad that I don't have a driver's license and don't drive, I really mean that. I don't know how I would feel driving, knowing that people are being stopped and this is what's happening to them after have not driven for so long. You know, like, that would just be that would mess my world up. Like, having to be in a city where I have to drive, or even leaving outside of the DMV area, because I have locks. So if I go somewhere else, people not knowing the culture here, and I go there, they're going to be looking at me like I'm that threatening Black person that they painted this picture of simply just because of my hair. Like, this is real life stressful.
Yeah.
It is. Well, I tell you, that is stressful, because I have children. My daughters are 19 and 20, and they drive every day. They're young, they're smart, they go to work, they live their lives. You know what I mean? I have a son that's 13 who's 6'3", 200 plus pounds, you know, who looks 18. Just goofy. And that's where I want him to be, because he's 13. But I can't allow him to walk to the store. I can't allow him to go walk to the court by himself. I can't allow him to do these things. And he gets frustrated with me, but I tell him, son, it's not me, it's society. And it's stressful knowing that my young daughters drive every day, very nervous just in case they get pulled over or anything. Living here in Indianapolis, some of the saddest things that's been happening in the news, young girls have been getting shot and killed, which is sad. And of course, we live in a world of social media, so you can see it. One of the girls' murders, God bless her soul and her family, you could watch her laying, actually dying on Facebook, you know, and it's just terribly sad. The response time of the police, the response time of the ambulance, the fact that we can just hear gunshots and the police ambulance, no one just knows to come, you know, immediately. We need to love in our community. I always say charity starts at home. Us that are older in our community, we need to do a lot better with our youth, with our teenagers, not even our teenagers, our young people. The people that are 20, 21, 22, they need love too, man. Sometimes they lost. I don't know if, you know, everybody remembers being at that age, but sometimes you're just trying to figure it out. You know, too young to really be grown, and too old to really be a kid, you know, that in-between stage. You know, even though a person is 23, 24, especially having kids, you know, they're not necessarily grown, you know, some, you know, and then now even thinking about that with my son being an athlete, God bless these young boys that are 22, 23, 25, 27, signing $100 million contracts. You know what I mean? The way that they're able to be taken advantage of. So as a community, you know, I hope that we do a lot better at showing each other love, hugging each other, loving each other, and encouraging each other to do the right thing. Like, stop killing each other, man. Stop wanting to hurt one another for any and everything. You know what I mean? Longevity is living.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, we're just a couple minutes away from having Pastor Terry Bradshaw join us.
And that's pastor, not football player.
You silly. Yeah, Candy, I appreciate what you said. And I think that some of the plans that we have had for our community are so dated. Like, we need to innovate within our movement. And I think that coding is a great thing to teach within our community. And it brings us up to date, really, because we have been in underserved educational systems to a point where we don't even know how to select a proper career path or find something to become interested in, a goal, a passion. That is not being developed. I know for me, when I was living in Kansas, I didn't have the opportunities that I have here in DC in terms of media, the things that I'm going through, the program, my education, all of that stuff. Those I didn't have those opportunities. So when I was at home, it was whatever. You know what I mean? I'm working, I'm drinking, I'm DUIs, all type of stuff, just dumb stuff. And then when I finally like started listening to people, and people were like, "Oh, your voice, you should do radio. You should do radio." I started to think, okay. And I was like, man, I'm going to move to DC to get on the radio. Everything that I said I was going to do in Kansas, I did it here because I had a passion for it. I was driven. We haven't given our youth anything to be passionate about.
Yeah.
When it's the goal to at least you made it past 21, that's not good.
No.
That's not a good look.
And in some places, at least you graduated high school.
Yeah.
You know?
My 13-year-old, I'm like, what do you want to do? And he's like, I'm not even sure. I'm like, do you want to go to college? He's like, no. And I'm just like, you know what? I have to, like, hey, right now you're 13. I get it. I'm like, just trying to push him through school. And he's telling me, he's like, school ain't nothing but systematic. We ain't even learning anything anyway. This ain't real life. The 13-year-old telling me this, this ain't
if you e-learning right now, you ain't learning a damn thing.
Right.
If you e-learning, you ain't learning a damn thing.
All right. So we're going to pick this conversation back.
A darn thing.
But right now, we're going to bring Pastor Terry Bradshaw to the show and get into this discussion about the 11-year-old victim in Kansas City. Hey, Pastor Terry Bradshaw. Pastor Bradshaw.
Hello.
How are you?
Hello. I'm wonderful. How are you guys doing?
We are doing wonderful. We kind of gave us.
I'm sad. The Lakers lost last night, so pray for me, Pastor. I'm sad.
I sure will.
So we kind of gave an introduction of you coming on the show beforehand. But I want to give you the opportunity to talk about you as a pastor and as an activist in Kansas City, Kansas right now, and just kind of introduce the audience to you to yourself.
Well, I pastor Empowerment Temple here in Kansas City, Kansas. We're affectionately called the City's Church. I believe the church should be the headlights in dealing with community issues and not the taillights. We should be the ones that set the precedence in showing the love of Jesus by being active in the community, not just preaching to people and raising offerings, but literally helping build a community, build families and build strong marriages, help Black men who've been incarcerated get jobs, really being about the total man. And so my life's goal is to empower people, to help people fly. And so that's what we're about. We have an urban initiatives program here that is very effective, where we deal with financial illiteracy, we deal with feeding the poor, job training. We're in the process of getting involved with housing. We're trying to attain an apartment complex where we can help people who can't find good housing, help them get an affordable housing, and it be not low grade, but they still get the best while trying to rebuild their lives.
Right, rather than having them in slums, you giving them something.
Absolutely.
Right.
Well, I think that's powerful that your community, your church is pouring back into the communities. That's something that a lot of our churches tend to lack in that arena. So that's awesome. And that's congratulations on your efforts.
Thank you. When people always say congratulations, I usually don't accept it because we're doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Amen.
And I think the reason why we're seeing a mass exodus from churches is because we see you all having church inside your building while being negligent in the streets.
Yeah.
Like you said, Empowerment Temple, our real sanctuary is not the church building. Our real sanctuary is in the streets. Jesus was more in the community than he was in the actual temple. The temple is just a place where we build the vision, but then we go outside of the temple and go and help the total man.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we need that. And I do definitely agree with you when you say that there's an exodus of the church. And a lot of times it's because we sit here and we see a lot of these pastors living this luxurious lifestyle. And meanwhile, the people in the community are poor and suffering.
Yes.
And so
I think that social media probably plays a huge part in that as well. No different. Pastor is also a man, a lot of times, or a woman. So a lot of times with social media affects that. People are able to, I see a lot of people going live from church, which I guess I understand trying to get the word, but I agree with getting back in the community and actually connecting with people, talking with people, is where it actually begins. I always say charity starts at home. So that's a wonderful motto to go. Absolutely.
To pinpoint what you said about pastors living luxurious, my church is in urban core. I recently just moved on the block of my church because I did not want to be guilty of preaching to people who are going through while I'm living out in the suburbs. I wanted to feel what they feel so I can effectively minister to them. Dr. King did this as well at an early age. He was from a very prominent family, a middle-class family, yet and still his father intentionally lived in downtown Atlanta for a long time because they wanted to feel what everyone else was feeling. And so sometimes as preachers, we are drive-by pastors. We are preaching to people, but we have no idea what they're dealing with. We don't even want to know. We just want to get your offering, but we really don't want to deal with your pain. And so I think it's important that pastors, whether male or female, be very intentional about connecting with those that they serve and connecting with that community. Inconvenience yourself to help somebody else.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Speaking of helping the community, you are the pastor of Brandy Stewart, who is Naveah Thomas's mother.
Mm-hmm.
She recently was attacked by a white boy who was at the age of 12 in an apartment complex in Shawnee, Kansas. So I've seen this story, and surprisingly, this story has picked up a lot of traction. And I think that, we want to really discuss this because I've heard several things from the mother as far as the young girl or the young boy having done this several times. This is not the first time that he's attacked someone. Unfortunately, it happened to be Naveah, who he hit in the face with a pole, stitches inside and outside of her face, as well as a missing tooth, and was knocked unconscious for a total of 3 minutes. Can you kind of walk us through that day?
Sure. It happened on last Friday. And since then, our hearts have been broken. She and her friends were out by the pool playing, and the little boy had already been harassing this group before Naveah had gotten there. So this group of girls that she was with, they had previous encounters with this little boy, with Naveah's attacker. And he began calling them names, racial slurs, and Naveah, standing up for the group, begins to say, "My black is beautiful. Black lives matter." And the little boy at the time had a knife. He approached her with the knife. Little Naveah then, as he got close to her, she pushed him back. He then got frustrated, went back and got a metal pole. And here's where the story gets crazy. One of the police officers on the scene saw the little boy with this pole, never questioned him, never stopped him, never confiscated the pole. And we all know had that been a little black boy walking around an apartment complex with a metal pole, not only would have been stopped, he probably would have been arrested. And they would have arrested him now and asked questions later. And I said this at the press conference. It's unfortunate that there is a reoccurring theme with Black people in America is many times we are guilty until we are proven innocent, and white people are innocent until proven guilty, maybe. They always get the benefit of the doubt. All of this could have been avoided. The little boy comes back with a pole, doesn't say anything to her. He just walks up to her face to face and hits her on the side of the face with the pole, knocking her unconscious. We just got word yesterday that the little boy actually said some very derogatory things as she laid on the ground. Like, you should have never said anything to me, or that's what you get for doing what you did, or saying what you said. It is unfortunate. We are living in a climate, and I want to also give our president this plug. He has opened the door for closet racists to become bold, to become aggressive. And it is a shame in the White House that we have a president who is inciting bigotry and racism because he's a closet racist.
Yes.
And his administration has done things, even though they're passing out money, they're still behind closed doors doing things that are very detrimental to the Black and brown community. And so I believe Naveah is the poster child of what's going on in America. And unfortunately, she has been baptized in bigotry and racism without her consent. She should be enjoying the bliss of her youthfulness. Instead, she was baptized in her own pool of blood at the hands of a white boy who I believe should be convicted for attempted murder. And I'm going to be talking with the district attorney soon, as well as the attorney. I don't believe aggravated assault is enough. He's currently on house arrest, which I think is unacceptable. It was a violent crime, and yet he's at home with his father and his grandfather. And I also want to reiterate, when he knocked her unconscious, when the police got on the scene, her grandfather came on the scene, and they were refusing to arrest the little boy at first. They were playing around and trying to figure out what's going on. And it took them 2 hours because the grandfather demanded, I'm not leaving the scene until I see this little boy in handcuffs. 2 whole hours to arrest him.
You knew what was going on. This isn't a situation where you have to figure anything out.
How old was the little boy?
13.
12.
13.
I'm sorry, 12, brother. He's about to
12.
Okay.
Tamir Rice was also 12 years old.
Yes.
Jesus. What was the father's response and reaction, the little boy's father and his grandfather? What was their response to what he did?
So they're protecting him. They're running all the stops to keep us from having any access to them. I'm told by the grandfather when he went and knocked on the door that they opened the door and said, my son has anger problems, and closed the door. And that was the last interaction they've had with them. As I said to the family yesterday, if they're really sad and they're really remorseful, you would think they would reach out to the family and say, hey, we apologize.
Absolutely.
You know, we're going to get our son some help. And I get it. The attorneys on their side is probably telling them that's an admission of guilt, but everyone saw him attack Naveah. There were several witnesses. So that's out the door. Do the right thing. When can the Black community get just a little bit of empathy for what we go through in this country? It's amazing. And I love my Jewish brothers and sisters, but you don't see people attacking them when they speak out against racism, when they talk about the Holocaust. But when we talk about our struggles as Black people, we are vilified. We are stirring the pot. We are causing trouble. Well, maybe we need to cause trouble to force change. Maybe we need to get in good trouble to cause change. And so it is unfortunate that the police department dragged their feet. This could have been avoided. The apartment complex knew of this little boy's past transgressions. They still never evicted the family, held the family accountable.
Right,
so
that's the question that I had. There were several other incidents before this attack on Naveah, correct? And were these also violent as well?
They weren't as violent as this, but he did put his hands on other people. Yes.
Okay. So
I have a question. What about the parents? Are the parents going to be held accountable for his actions, considering he is 12 years old? And they're also aware of, if you knew that your child had anger problems and anger issues, then why would he be able to just be outside unattended?
Yeah.
Well, we are currently, I can't talk too much in detail. I'll just say there's something in the works. His mother is deceased. I believe she passed away about a year ago. So his father and grandfather both live in this apartment complex in separate apartments. So he has those two as kind of like parental, they're kind of like his parents. So he doesn't have a mother anymore. And maybe, some of his anger issues, he just lost a mother. I get it. However, it's not an excuse for what was done.
No, it's not.
And he should be held accountable. And we all know if this would have been a little Black boy, they would have went through the parents' history and try to find something to run them down.
Yeah.
They would have went through the little boy's history to try to find something to run them down.
That's the point. That's the point in difference, is that what would have happened if this was a little Black boy doing this versus the little white boy. That's the argument right there. That's the
unfortunately, like you said,
make you racist. You lose a mother, you don't become racist because your mother died.
Right.
Right.
You know, that
Right.
came from somewhere else. So
Right.
as far as this situation, you've been taught to target other Black children, your peers,
Yep.
your Black peers, and that's the issue that I'm having. What is the apartment complex saying about this? In are they allowing them to continue to live in this complex?
They are as of right now, but I think we're going to be meeting with them again next week.
Okay.
They are very aware of how slippery of a slope this is, and I personally believe that they are preparing for a civil suit because we have the information that we have, and so they're moving very, very cautiously. And so with evictions, I think that they're going through a process with that family. We're going to hold them accountable, as I told them last week. Do the right thing. Otherwise, if you don't, you're going to have to deal with me and the attorney. And I assure you, it's going to go in our favor. So they're being held accountable, but they are moving very cautiously because they know this is going to be a long struggle and a long battle.
So what is the actual? I saw Naveah's mother post the other day that she woke up at 3 a.m. screaming and crying about, you know, what happened, like why did this have to happen to me? So where is she right now in terms of her state of mind?
Naveah is has some good days and has some bad days. She's still dealing with memory loss. She's still dealing with, yesterday we were talking, she's so concerned about how she's going to be treated at her school. She's been bullied before. So this little child, this little queen has been through so much. And her thing is, I don't understand why this happened. Why did it have to get to this point? And so she's dealing with some emotional trauma. She's dealing with some pain still. She still has a big gash on her face. She was in the process of becoming a child model. And so that has affected her looking in the mirror and seeing that big old gash in her face. It really bothers her. And so sometimes she's laughing and then other times she's crying. And her mother's correct. She'll have moments where she's just emotional. She doesn't know, as a child, she doesn't know how to even deal with the afterglow of this attack. And so keep her in your prayers because this is a long journey. We're going to be soon getting her a counselor to help her navigate through all these emotions. And that's what you understand. Just because you saw on a news conference reading a statement, please understand she is still suffering. And this will be sitting in her mind for the rest of her life.
Have you, you might have already mentioned this, has there been supportive resources put in place? Because this is going to be a journey for her in healing mind, body, and spirit. She has her church family. Are there other resources beginning to be put in place for her mental well-being and so forth?
Yes, specifically for mental health, our church is one of the few Black churches. We actually have a mental health department. Her name is Chandra Green. She is director of mental health at our church. And so we have already provided the family with those resources. But we've gotten so much love outside of our church. People sending finances, people sending gifts. There's a celebrity who wants to remain nameless, who is having a doll made in her image for Naveah. People have been sending gifts and flowers. The community has really, the nation has really wrapped their arms around little Naveah.
Awesome.
Somebody sent some flowers, I think it was Friday before the news conference, and we were sitting in my office, and she just cried because she was just like, I'm so happy. And that makes her feel better. Because you imagine you being 12 years old, and you've already been bullied before, and now you're going through this. Now your face is on the news. Her family talked about how when they were at Walmart the other day, people knew who she was, and it made her a little nervous. We've got to continue to lift up this little girl. She's going to be having a walk. I think it's going to be on the 26th of September with just kids fighting against hatred, bigotry, and racism. And we're expecting thousands of kids to be there. And so she's embracing being the voice of change as she did with this little boy. She stood up against her bully. And so we just commend little Princess Naveah.
Absolutely. She should be praised for that, because that takes a lot of bravery to stand up for your friends. And for that to have happened, unfortunately, to her, I feel like even greater things are going to come out in her speaking against this situation. So that's awesome.
Yeah. That
and I have a question as well. Being from Kansas City, living here in Indianapolis, and that happened in Shawnee Mission, Kansas. As the Black community, we know about these small cities within our city that are just known to be racist. They give us a hard time. Shawnee Mission, Olathe, Lenexa, Overland Park, Kansas, and we go and we spend plenty of dollars in these places. The Lee Summits, the Blue Springs, all of these areas that make it very difficult for us to be in, where we know that we have to be completely legit, 10 and 2, smile on our face in order for us to exist in these small cities within our cities. What can we do as a people to combat the racism that's within these cities? Like you said, the young boy walking with a pole. Unfortunately, we all know if he was a young Black boy, arrested would be the easy way out for him. Most likely he would have been shot and killed. So what can we do to the city of Shawnee Mission? Because it is really bigger than the apartment complex. We know that as the city of Shawnee Mission, me being 37, growing up in Kansas City, Missouri, I don't want to go there.
Yep. And I lived in Oakland and didn't want to go there.
How you feel is how a lot of Black people feel they avoid these cities in most cases. Unfortunately, this has been a reoccurring theme in a lot of these smaller cities in Kansas and Missouri. We know certain hot pockets of hate and racism. We know if you're at certain parts of town, if you get picked up by the police, you're in trouble if you don't have a good lawyer. I've had 2 city council members reach out to me from Shawnee, Kansas. The city they are currently moving very cautiously because the Black community here is ready to ride. They are ready to do whatever it takes to get their voice heard. And as I said to a group of faith leaders, 2 things needs to happen. First, there needs to be illumination. Illumination means you shed light on something. You couldn't see something before, but now you make it visible. But here's the problem. If you have illumination without revelation, you can see an open room, but you can't tell what's in the room. So you need illumination, revelation. We need to shed light on these things. But as we shed light on these things, we need to be able to properly articulate what we see, identify the issues, and then attack them. And so what I've been doing is I've been screaming to the hills and to the highways and to the hedges, hey, there is still racism and bigotry going on in these cities. Racism never left. It was just repackaged. Now we see what it is. Now we need to identify where it's coming from and the persons who are driving this narrative, the persons who are vehicles to allow other people to move in hatred and bigotry, and then attack those areas. Don't spend your Black dollar there. And as I told them yesterday, if we don't get certain demands done, you all are the first media outlet I'm telling this to, if they don't get certain things done by next week, I'm going to have 200 Black men in Black suits and Black ties. We're going to show up at the police station. We're going to show up at the apartment complex, and we're going to disrupt the normalcy of Shawnee, Kansas, until certain things happen. We have to come together, Black and brown communities. We need our Latino brothers and sisters as well to stand with us. And so we are going to get very aggressive to force change. We're not asking for a seat at the table. We got our own table. What we're asking for is equality. When we are all in the same places, we want to be treated like decent human beings. And so what we're doing is we've been identifying certain areas. I've had 4 different families reach out to me in the past week and a half that have other stories of being racially profiled, other stories of dealing with bigotry and hate. And so what we're going to do is we're going to begin to assimilate many lawyers and attorneys and present resources to the Black community to really attack these things.
Wow. Absolutely. Thank you. Well, it has been such a pleasure having you on, and hopefully we can continue this relationship and have you on to commentate, or, you know, anything that's going on in Kansas City that you want to put out there. You know, you definitely have our support, and Naveah definitely has our support as well.
Absolutely.
And her mother, and I will continue to check on her and just continue to encourage the community to reach out and show her as much love as possible, because she really needs it. And that is the only thing that will get us through. And that is love. Like, love is the greatest gift of all. And so we definitely want to always exercise that. And I just really appreciate you for coming on. Pastor Terry Bradshaw, everyone. Thank you so much.
I want to tell you.
I appreciate you for getting back to the community. I appreciate that.
I want to commend you three queens for doing what you do. Y'all keep doing it. Keep adjusting your crowns and raising up the next generation. We need you guys. We're in this together.
Amen. And you know what? Let everybody know where they can find you at: church location, Instagram, Facebook, all that.
On Facebook, I'm under Terry Bradshaw Jr. You can find us on at Church 2601 Garfield Avenue, Kansas City, Kansas. Sunday mornings 11 a.m., Wednesdays at 7 p.m. We are back in the building. We are practicing social distancing. We've been open actually for 3 months. We have not had one incident. So come, if you're looking for church as usual, don't come here. If you're looking for perfect people, don't come here. We are a church that's about community, and we are doing the work of God. All are welcome.
Yeah.
Pastor, can you pray for the gates on 10th Street and that they bring back the wings?
Only if they stop hiring people. That's another story. Yes, I can pray for the gates. Because a couple of them have, I eat there often. I'm very sad about it being burned up. However, sometimes things need to happen to make some adjustments because the food is outstanding. But sometimes people I've encountered there weren't so polite. So we're hoping that
get that together.
But we love Gates. That's one of our strong Black businesses, and we support them.
Yes, yes.
All right, Pastor Terry Bradshaw.
Blessings, Pastor.
Bless you. God bless you guys.
God bless you. Oh, all
that
right.
Wow. Well, first of all, let me say that was awesome to know that pastors out there in that community giving back. And that is just a breath of fresh air because you do not hear that often. And
right.
the impact of love and support that they have for this young lady and their motivation to keep pushing, to keep, to get justice in this community is awesome.
Yeah, it is.
And it's funny. Yeah, actually, he's a great pastor. I'm gonna have to tell my mama about him. She's gonna be proud about that. But
in his Facebook,
but you want to know, Anissa, what's sad is, and as we know, Shawnee Mission is one of those places. I was just in Kansas City in July. My son was actually playing this in Shawnee Mission, and I was scared to death for my kid's father. His car broke down. I was scared to death for him. I ran to go get him because Shawnee Mission is a place. Being Black, you better have it together, otherwise you can get injured.
But the crazy thing is I lived in Olathe, and I remember one night I was just driving, and the police pulled us over and said we crossed the center line. We were like, "What?" He was determined to give us a ticket. Like, he was so mean. He was so nasty. I've had few experiences. I will say this: I've had few experiences when I was in Kansas with bad police officers. Very few. Now I've had great experiences. Like one time, I got pulled over and I had me some little tree on me. I was drinking and driving. It was a mess, y'all. It was a mess. He ain't even get me for the alcohol. He hit me with the weed charge because that would have been my second DUI. So I was like, oh, he looked out. And then one time I was in Lenexa. I'm all the way messed up. Hey, we used to ride so dirty.
My kid's father, man, shout out to Javon Guest, man. He would get in so much trouble with the police in Kansas. When we was kids, he would get pulled over, go to jail, like, stop this.
Man, what? I got pulled over and the next day I didn't even have a driver's license. And I was drunk. And I had liquor in the car.
He's 6'6" Black man.
Off because it was a rental car, so my lights automatically came on. So I'm hitting the highway. Girl, they pulled me over. I had to do all of them tests, and I passed it. Girl, I was praying. I was praying. Gosh. But they let me keep going because, I had my friend in the car. I didn't even smoke cigarettes anymore. I used to back in the day. So when they pulled over, I hurry up. I was like, I'm going down. It's a wrap. But hey, I got through it, though. That was nothing but the grace. His grace, I'm trying to tell you. I had some cool cops, but I've also had some real bad ones. I'm not gonna lie to you. I really have. So my experience, I just, with Naveah, it resonates with me because I remember fighting white boys when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I used to get down on the playground with them because they used to try you because you was Black. I went through that, especially when my parents had moved to Oklahoma City for a short period of time. My daddy worked for the FAA, so sometimes he would have to go for a certain amount of time to a different city for training and different stuff like that. So, we would all, go or whatever. We weren't as stable at that point yet anyway. So anyway, I remember having to walk home with my sister, and these kids would follow us home every day. Every day. Just saying some of the most obscene things. I used to get called peanut butter and stuff like that. However, peanut butter is a very, very pretty color. Anyway, so I used to get called peanut butter, and just they used to say all these little things. I remember being chased home when I was a kid, being called monkey face. And that broke me. That broke me. When I was a kid, I remember running down the street, crying in kindergarten. And this was in Springfield, Missouri. Oh, now let me tell you something. Now, them white folks had the nerve out there in Springfield, Missouri, because them things look like something up from people from under the stairs. U-turn, all of that. A mess. You should have seen the way these people look, and had the nerve to look at you and like you a nigga.
Right.
That's what kills me. The trailer park.
In your mouth. And
the trailer park.
This is what messed me up. My mom would take our clothes and give them to them. First of all, you talking shit to me when you got my old clothes on.
Yeah.
You got my old shit on and you talking to me like this.
Yeah.
Girl,
I grew up, I've been in Baltimore City, pretty much all my life. I lived in California for a little bit, but when I connect to Kansas, I was like, that's just a white state. Like, I always connected to that place for some reason as being, and I know that's just, upbringing, but that area, like Indiana, Kansas, like always reserved that for that's racist white people there. Unfortunately, that's what I connect to. So when I'm hearing like black people living there, I was like, I hope they're okay out there.
You want to know what helps these towns? Honestly, what helps these towns is they're sports towns. And as you know, whenever there's a sports town and you have blacks that run basketball, you have blacks that run football. Now their families have to move into the communities. Now they start to make them feel like things are easier. So in some of these places, Kansas, Missouri, Indiana, but in the city part of it, Indianapolis, great city, black people have a fair chance in Indianapolis. You know what I mean? Though the residents here may think differently. But if I go to Carmel, Carmel's a different story. Carmel, Indiana. The same thing what we're talking about. Kansas City, Missouri, the actual city of Kansas City.
Right. So there's so many pockets. There's so many pockets. Yeah. And like old ass cities like Gardner. Remember the boy Alonzo Brooks who went to that party out there in Gardner? And he was like Hispanic and black. And these boys from Nebraska came down. See, Nebraska, to see the Midwest. Nebraska, you got them races up there. They come down and they
corn-fed.
You know what I'm saying? Like the Knights of Columbus. Like they come through there and just, they'll bury you in the cornfield real quick. Real quick.
See, and they say that the Klan started here in one of the towns here in Indiana. And see, one of the things that I'm interested in are some of these parents being held responsible. When I worked for On Demand, one of the things that I did was one of the events that I ran was a gun and knife show. And at the gun and knife show, you could come trade in your gun, buy guns, buy knives, take all these different things. So me and my staff would sometimes stand outside. I like to talk shit and tell jokes and stuff like that. One of the jokes that I would tell is, if you notice, if you go to the grocery store and you buy some eggs, some milk, and some beer, and you got a kid with you, your kid's gonna carry out the eggs and the milk. They won't carry out the beer because this is not for kids. Those kids in there will walk out with bags of shit. I'm talking about 10, 11, 12. And their parents have their bags as well. And I would tell my staff, those same kids walking out with these bags are going to the Carmel, Indiana's, the Hamilton Southeasterns, the Noblesvilles, and all these small towns with their bags of goodies, and they practice it. And they are getting ready for somebody.
Yes, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And they're there with their mothers. They're there with their fathers. They're there as a family buying artillery to take some kids out. That boy shouldn't even have known at 12. At least my son knows at 13. You pick up a pole, you trying to hurt somebody for real. You're trying to kill him. So therefore, he at 13, he's not even going to do that, because I'm not trying to kill you. I'm not trying to hurt you. You understand what I'm saying? So my thing is, what about the parents? I understand. God rest his mama's soul. You know what I mean? I understand that. But there are a lot of Black kids that deal with trauma of losing their fathers being brutally murdered, being put in jail. They are starting to kill women now left and right too. You understand what I'm saying? So, hey, we keep talking about that young girl's mother. Where's the young girl's father? Can she use that? Because she could have said all kind of things to that young white boy in that moment.
Right.
So somebody need to call his daddy to the carpet.
Well, let me tell you something, because Brandy Stewart is not one of those I forgive you for what you did to my child, because she really said it's taking everything in me not to go grab them and put them in the trunk of my car.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling her.
Real talk.
She posted that on Facebook, and you know what? I'm glad she did, because let me tell you something. And if that was my child, I would not be like, oh, let's just not say anything for the press. Like, let me tell you something. Y'all better do something, or I'm gonna do something, because I know.
Yeah, and I'm that mother that when my son, I remember when he had a little altercation at his school, I had no problems in front of the mother. I ran right up on that little boy and I said, "Don't you ever put your hands on my kid." So if I could feel the fury in me from you hurting my child, and that was just a small little altercation. I don't even want to imagine what I would do if something like that.
Like, you just hit my daughter smooth in her face, knocked her unconscious.
She's going to live with for the rest of her life. She's going to, that's why I asked about her mental health, because it's one thing, she's going to get out here, she's going to speak, and she's going to be covering people. Somebody definitely needs to be covering her. And
Exactly. Yeah. But anyway, on a lighter note, what y'all heifers got going on this weekend? What we doing?
Well, I might run back that Monica Brandy versus battle. I might run that back.
I didn't like that.
Where can I watch that at? Where can I watch that?
YouTube. Go on YouTube somewhere and watch it. I'll tell you what. Go on YouTube or somewhere and watch it. Because if you didn't watch that, it was live.
Yes. I want to watch it.
Brandy had on a terrible outfit, but it was great.
Brandy always has some weird ass clothes on. I've never seen Brandy to be fashionable, except for when she played on The Game. The show The Game, her wardrobe was cute, but when
Brandy's battling something mentally. Brandy's going through something.
I was telling someone, I said her range. I said, the industry has kind of watered her out as far as her range on album, but when she actually sings live, that girl can blow.
Yeah,
let me tell you something.
Everybody.
When I drove to Colorado, I rocked that whole Angel in Disguise album. That is bad. And you want to know something? Honestly, everybody said Monica won, which I do believe Monica won. But when you do that versus battle and you actually have to pick singles, hey man, don't sleep on Brandy. Okay.
See, that's the thing that pisses me off, because I said, and I'm gonna say it on the show, and I don't care who come for me. I think that if we were doing hit for hit,
Brandy,
I'm not talking about live performances. I'm talking hit for hit. Kelly Price would blow Fantasia out of the water. I'm sorry, hit for hit.
I'm talking about Brandy and Monica.
No, I ain't on them.
Well, I think that Kelly Price has been around. I think Kelly Price been around a little bit more than Fantasia too. Really, and honestly, I don't know.
Was like, you had a few on there. I'm talking about Kelly Price got hits for days.
I was about to say, I don't even know how many CDs Fantasia has even come out with. Like, I don't know. I know she does like Broadway.
She does Broadway, and she is killer on the scene as far as concerts, honey. She can give it to you.
Okay.
But hit for hit, I agree, Kelly. So are they getting ready to do a versus? Is that why you brought that up?
I would like to see. I wouldn't mind seeing.
Well, wait a minute. Are you talking about like Big Kelly or Big Kelly?
I think Big Kelly Price, Big KP.
You should have told me. He wasn't strong enough. Hell no, he ain't strong enough for your big ass right now, Kelly.
Yes.
It's about to rain out here in these streets. I'm telling you. Kelly Price got hits for days. Like, people need to stop.
I agree with that. I agree.
I watch my hair listening to Kelly Price. That's the only R&B albums that, like, I let her playlist go while I'm washing my hair, because it takes so long. So Kelly Price all day.
She's friends with R. Kelly too. She's on R. Kelly's gospel album too.
You always gotta go there. I always gotta go there.
Speaking of
I should have had the pastor say a prayer for R. Kelly because he was attacked in prison.
Yes, he was.
Jesus.
Got the beat down.
Y'all ain't right.
I stopped playing his music, and anybody affiliate, like if I hear him even on like the side of the song, I'm like, I can't even listen to that no more. I think
they should let him out. Anissa, don't sleep. That now his catalog is good too. I think they should let him out of jail and let him go to Kanye's ranch. Let him go to Kanye's house. Him and Kanye should spend time together.
Oh,
yeah, irritating. I want to say God is good. One thing I do want to say before I leave here, God is so good.
Yes,
God is so good. I mean, for real, He is. And I had my contract ended on the 28th for my previous position at LSC. And so I am now about to start working again this upcoming week. Like I got on a project. I mean, the research center always looks out for me. So shout out to Kara. It is a Catholic research center, and it is really dope. And I've learned so much. And I'm hoping to come back and just like a new light in terms of what I'm learning in my master's. And I thank God for being able to be into this program because this program is a beast and it's going to make me a beast. So I'm really excited about this, but I just want to give God the glory right now because like I could be in a whole nother mindset. Like I'm thinking about sitting down somewhere and having a good ass brunch. A lot of people can't do that right now. You know, people, rent paid up. I'm in a great position in life, even though it's not where I want to be. I just want to thank God for everything that He's doing. Amen.
Amen.
I like that. I like to give God praise in advance because even though I probably can't afford a brunch, I think I might be able to borrow $12.99 from somebody because I've been wanting to go to Luciana's, this Mexican place, and get these deep fried enchiladas.
I got you. I'm gonna get you that.
You know what? That's a blessing. You know, normally my daughters take care of me because these people, this unemployment. I've been waiting 7 weeks. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
What? 7 weeks.
And the
lady
y'all state has had issues in the past with getting y'all unemployment. Y'all was like on like the red alert. Y'all was being flagged as one of those top cities.
Well, they ain't gotta flag me. My flag, I'm waving my own flag. Send it to me. I gave them my bank account. Send it to me.
Get on this train and go to see Anissa so we can go to free. What is it called? State Fair. Yes.
They canceled the state fair. When they canceled the state fair here, I knew my job was over. I work for a staff company.
I wanted to take some time to thank God in advance as well because I'm self-employed and there's been nothing but doors opening and opportunities and keeping bills paid in advance and stuff. And when you out here working for yourself, and during this time, my field is in massage and health and wellness and. COVID is real out here, and God's been protecting me and keeping me safe during this whole thing. So,
yes,
God, honor and glory for that.
All right, now that we are done,
hold on. Check out this website. It's called blackoutbox.com, and it's a bunch of like black businesses that are like sharing, and you can buy like a black box and subscribe to it like every month, and they send you products from like all these black companies. Blackoutstores.com. And another positive young black man was telling me about it because James Lemonade was in the box from Kansas City, Kansas. Some James Lemonade.
Yes, I love
it. Was in the box, and I now follow them on Instagram. I'm trying to figure out how to order me some James Lemonade.
Okay, I will sure ship me some of that and some ghost sauce all day.
Hey, every time I go to Kansas City, I bring that back. I bring Gates back. I don't even fool with the barbecue sauce here. I'm about to gear up.
Though. Gates barbecue is sauce is everywhere, but that ghost sauce is not. That ghost sauce.
No, it's not. You gotta get it from there. I fry my own chicken with the ghost sauce because really, they chicken ain't that good, but the ghost sauce make it 10 times.
I love them chicken.
It's all right.
I mean, I do.
I like the mashed potatoes in a row.
That good dirty bird churches though. I ain't gonna lie.
Oh, I got a churches up the street from my crib. One out
here in DC, but it's not Midwest churches. It's DC churches.
Oh shit.
Them niggas.
I got one right up the street from my crib.
All right, let's get off of here, girl. All right, y'all. I love you guys. I'm so glad we had a great show. Make sure y'all share the show. And you guys make sure that you follow us on Facebook at Baltimore, Washington Connection. You can follow me on Twitter. And my Twitter handle is @DCNovaPearl. Follow me because you'll see my journalism stuff. I might try to make it to a trip in Kansas City so I can be a part of Naveah's march. That would be really, really awesome if I could do that.
That would be dope.
It would be super dope. So anyway, love you guys. Talk to y'all later. Make sure y'all follow us on YouTube as well. You'll see everything. Anyway, we out.
Bye, y'all. Peace.